let's talk about The Fallen Star by Claudia Gray. This book wraps up the third and final wave of the first phase of High Republic books. Now, that's one of the kind of issues with the book, at least when it comes to me recommending it, because you need to know a lot of stuff before you jump into this book. There's a lot of characters and things that are fully established in the other narratives that have come before it. So do not jump directly into this book. This would be like watching Avengers Endgame without having seen any of the rest of the MCU. Now, if you wanted to do the bare minimum amount of work, you could start with Light of the Jedi, and then read Rising Storm, and then read this. But even then, that would be like watching Avengers 1, and then Age of Ultron, and then, and then Infinity War, and then jumping into Endgame. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that you are missing out on, a lot of the narrative, and we spent a lot of time on these side characters. So definitely also check out anything else that Claudia Gray has written. More often than not, when the adult books come out, these authors will also include the other characters that they've created, and this is no exception. So part of the first phase, Claudia Gray wrote a book called Into the Dark, and a lot of those characters reprise their roles and play prominent parts in the story, so I highly recommend reading at least that book as well. When it comes to character work, that's where Claudia Gray usually shines. She likes to dive into the core of these characters, and especially their relationships, and let those relationships grow organically. They grow, they change, they merge, they go in and out, and that is like the bleeding heart of this. Watching Belle and Buryaga's relationship, and there was just like, was beautiful. Seeing what these kind of outside forces were doing to Stellan Gios and Elzar Mann was really good. Love me some Orla Jarrenly, and yeah, I mean, that Geode's back, and it just being a menace overall. So the characters that were the main focus of the story were very well done and well developed, and we loved seeing them come back. That being said, there is still a bunch of side characters that we aren't going to see that development for. Not that that's a problem, they are not the main characters, but that's one of the things that I have really enjoyed overall, is that, you know, in the previous books like Light of the Jedi, even the really insignificant side characters that you knew were going to be thrown away felt more fleshed out. The suspense and terror in this book is great. I think it's really well done. There are scenes where I was literally like on the edge of my seat, just waiting, expecting the worst, and more often than not, it got worse, but every now and then they were gotten some type of reprieve from the madness. But yeah, there's a lot of weight to what happens. There's a lot of heavy consequences, and that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about the High Republic, is it has its light moments, but it's also coupled with a lot of darkness, as well as people who have to deal with the ramifications and trauma that comes along with that darkness. When it comes to the actual character deaths or injuries or things like that, I'm kind of 50-50. There's a lot of points where it was really meaningful and deep what happened. Now, I feel like any deaths or things that happen in the book to main characters are things that need to be important to the story. They need to serve a narrative purpose. And I will say, at certain times in this book, it felt like we were pushing people through a meat grinder, and it forced you to disconnect and disengage with the story a little bit. That being said, most of the big ones really did hit me, and you walk out of this book just feeling cold and sad. I think part of my feelings on this might have to do with the marketing surrounding it. The big posters saying who will survive, I'm sure have influenced my thoughts on it, but yeah, overall, still super enjoyable. I mean, I will read anything that Claudia Gray puts out. It's definitely not my favorite of her books, but it's an enjoyable read and a great way to kind of close out this chapter, at least as far as the heavy hitting books. We still have 2 other books that came out in this wave that we're going to talk about on this channel. All in all, I have fallen in love with this era, with these characters, and we're going to follow this story out through to its end. This book is a must read if you have been enjoying the High Republic. I think that's one of the things that it actually suffers from, is it's like an expected read versus you're being compelled to read it, but it's still a really good book. I enjoyed it. All in all, I'm going to rate this one 7.5 out of 10 and move on to the next one. With that being said, I'll bring this video to a close. If you like the content and you want to support the channel, you can either become a channel member, you can grab an Audible free trial here, or I have an affiliate link to where you can grab the book yourself via Amazon. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things. I always appreciate it. I'm going to keep these coming. I want to review every Star Wars book I've ever read, which is a lot. Anyhow, have a good one, and may the Force be with you always.